Hello everybody, Zachary Avery here. Thanks for joining me on a little walk today. As you know, I talk a lot and I write a lot about self-care and self-love, self-compassion, and just being kind and gentle with ourselves. I write a lot about these topics, and one thing that I really love when I'm writing and teaching on these things is being theoretical about them. So getting into the theories, the philosophies, the importance of and significance of why we do these things. I love being theoretical, but just as much, if not more so, I love being practical. And so today I just wanted to pop in with a quick video highlighting 5 really super easy, practical self-compassion exercises that you can do anytime you're wanting to cultivate more self-compassion into your life and into your current experience. So this is five easy ways. So number 1 would be the easiest way to practice self-care in general, and that is simply to just check in with yourself. So at any moment we can just quiet down a little bit, slow down a little bit, and simply ask yourself, how am I doing? What do I need right now in this moment? What is my body asking for? What am I craving? What sounds good? What do I need? And then, the more often we ask ourselves that question, it just becomes almost like a habit. It becomes a habit. And we also start to just constantly be more in touch and in tune with our own needs. And this is a really big premise of self-care, because a lot of times we actually aren't in touch with what we need, and it's really hard to get our needs met if we don't know what they are. So number 1 is to check in with yourself. Ask yourself what you need, and then take action to get it met. And you can either meet your own need, or you can make a plan to ask for help and get support and have your needs met that way. The second self-compassion exercise that I'm going to present today is going to be related to soothing touch. And this is something that we can give ourselves. We can place your hands gently on your heart. You could stroke your arm, you could caress your face, you could give yourself a hug, you can gently rock yourself. There's so many ways that we can gently and compassionately touch ourselves, and that is a really good way to ground us. It's a really good and effective practice, a way to shift out of our head and out of overthinking and into our body, into the present moment. And also, touch releases hormones such as oxytocin, which is going to help the situation and that moment. So soothing touch is the second practice. And as we go through these exercises, you'll see that a lot of them, you could pair them up with each other. So for example, you could, give yourself some soothing touch while you're checking in with yourself. All right. So that would be a way to combine exercise number 1 and exercise number 2 simultaneously. Exercise number 3 is going to be practicing with self-compassion mantras. And this concept comes from Dr. Kristin Neff in her book, Self-Compassion. And she teaches this script. It's 4 sentences. And she teaches to use it anytime that we find ourselves in a moment of suffering. Anytime that we need to experience compassion, we can practice that and give that to ourselves. And so that's the perfect opportunity for a moment of self-compassion. And her script, her 4 lines are, this is a moment of suffering. Suffering is part of life. May I be kind to myself in this moment. May I be compassionate and meet my needs, or something like that. So each of those sentences can be adapted. You can tweak those to make them work for you. I typically just use those first 3 lines when I need them. This is a moment of suffering. Suffering is part of life. May I be kind to myself in this moment. Okay? So that exercise is really helpful because it clarifies what's going on in that moment. Because a lot of times when we're suffering, we don't actually recognize that what's happening is that we're suffering. We just think that we're going through a hard time, and often we blame ourselves or beat ourselves up, and that only makes the situation worse. Okay, if we could just take one step back and see, oh wow, what is happening right now in this moment is that I'm suffering. The antidote to suffering is compassion. This is a perfect opportunity for me to be compassionate with myself. All right, so that is exercise number 3. The 4th self-compassion exercise for today comes from Brach in her book called Radical Acceptance. And she teaches, she teaches us to try to see ourselves through the eyes of someone who loves us. So pretend that you are your child, or your lover, or your parent, or your best friend. Just put yourself in someone else's shoes, someone who really unconditionally loves you, and practice seeing yourself through their eyes. So that can be a really cool exercise and a really cool activity, really beneficial. And then the 5th exercise for increasing self-compassion in our lives that I'm going to present today is the Buddhist Lovingkindness Meditation. So it's a really simple form of meditation. We could call it a meditation, we could call it a prayer, we could call it an affirmation, we could call it an intention. Use whatever language you want with this one. But the point is, all that we do is it's just 4 sentences, and you're just going to repeat them over and over and over again. So the sentences are, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be peaceful, may I live with ease. And you're just going to repeat those. May I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be peaceful, may I live with ease. May I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be peaceful, may I live with ease. And you just keep repeating those lines over and over again. And, you can add visualization to it, seeing yourself happy, maybe jumping up and down, running around, being excited, being healthy. You can kind of start to use your mind's eye to start visualizing these things if that feels good, or you can just stick with the words. And anytime, just like any other form of meditation, anytime that your mind gets distracted and you get carried away in other thoughts, you can just return to the very beginning. May I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be peaceful, may I live with ease. And that is a really beautiful way to open our hearts to ourselves. And it is, that is the epitome of self-care, self-love, self-compassion. We are wishing ourselves well, and that's a really important orientation for us to have. And so that's something that, should be visited often. And so those are 5 really simple, really practical exercises to continue to develop self-compassion in your life. I hope they serve you well, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Love you. Bye.